So if everyone else could turn off their sound, we will get started now. So this morning, our episode will begin with a tribute to my mom, who just passed away this past Sunday, April 21st. And so, in honor and in celebration of her life, I'll do an opening um, so you get to know a little bit more about her. So that I not forgetting stuff, I put this into words that everyone could see and read along with me. So this Environmental Fridays episode is in honor of and tribute to my mom. She passed away early Sunday morning, April 21st, 2024. And it was just about when we learned after, just about when my sister and I were landing at the airport here in Trinidad at home. Um, Without her, there is no me. There is no Environmental Fridays. She is a daughter of God and a woman of faith. She was born in Paradise, Grenada. Among other things, she enjoyed gardening and the outdoors, writing, reading, cooking, helping others, sharing words of encouragement, going to church every Saturday. She didn't miss any, singing and spending time with God and family. From her early youth, she began writing poems and essays and writing and directing plays and cantatas. I remember having acting parts in some of her plays. She wrote several publications, including an autobiography and a recipe book. She was known far and wide for her creative and tasty dishes. She conducted health and cooking classes. And in an interview that my sister and I did with her, we asked her what inspired her, what was her creative process, so to speak. And she basically said, God put it in me. Without the Lord, whether it was for the recipes she came up with or the thoughts she had in writing the plays and the cantatas, she attributed it all to God. She was one of our teachers when my siblings and I were homeschooled. There seems to be a noise in the background. Could everybody mute? Make sure they're muted. So she was one of our teachers when my siblings and I were homeschooled. We were homeschooled at least 2 times growing up. She and Dad would take us on nature walks, including sometimes early morning baths in the sea before going to school. Education, seeking knowledge, and learning were top values and priorities and part of my parents' continuing legacy. In fact, her kitchen was my first chemistry and research lab I was exposed to. In it could be found the two major themes of chemistry: identity, which deals with what it is, and transformation, what it can become. I thank God for my mom and all the incredible sacrifices she and Dad made for us. Their legacy and faith endure. What I'd like us all to do now is for at least 1 minute, have 1 minute of silence for my mom. Okay, thank you all so very much for being on this journey here with us. Thank you very much. All right, so again, welcome to Environmental Fridays. It is personal. This is our 16th episode for season 6. If you want to find out more about Environmental Fridays, you can look at, use the QR code to the right here, or click on the link for our website. As you will see here, we are down to our last two Environmental Fridays. Today, we'll hear from Monica. She'll be formally introduced later on. And next week, our final episode will be by Motria from the Center for Disease Control, and she will give us some information and discuss the chemical composition of Canadian wildfires, which was heavy last year in the Midwest and maybe other places as well. So we'll find out more about the chemical composition of the smoke of the wildfires. That will be our final episode for this season 6, and we will get started back more likely in September of this year. Over the summer, I'll probably be talking to some of you to participate in our season 7 and 8. All right, so today I'd like to introduce a co-host, my co-host, Heidi Lassane. Heidi has actually given presentations before, at least one presentation before, and she's been on a couple more, I think, either as co-host as well. So we go back to pretty much the beginning of the environmental series programs. Heidi, I'll put you on the spot. Tell us something interesting about yourself, some of your hobbies. What do you enjoy most about um, what do you enjoy most about your work?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Heidi Lassane. Um, well, I've been doing this uh, work with asthma, oh my gosh, more than 15 years, I'll say
Okay.
that. Um, the thing about this job, it's so hard to walk away because of my passionate partners. When you are working with people that live and breathe the work, it makes you feel so good when you go home. It's not like it's not work. It's
Mm,
just a great feeling. So I love my partners, my community partners. I love working with schools. I just love helping people and it feels so good. So it's been a quick journey because I look back and say, oh my gosh, I've been working at the Environmental Protection Agency for over 20 years, but it does not feel like it. I can remember walking in the door. I love working outside in the yard and
mhm.
planting. Um, and something cool about me, I'm a brand new grandma, and I'm a Gigi. My mom is grandma. I'm Gigi, so I'm having a good time. We're actually planting sunflowers this weekend, so we're having he's 18 months and we're
Okay.
having a great time. So thank you for introducing me, and I'll be
And
talking a little bit.
yes, yes. So Heidi will introduce our main speaker for today, and she would assist and to facilitate the Q&A after the talk. So at this point, let's see. I will go ahead and actually introduce Princella and Susan, who are the co-founders of A for Asthma. and they have a really wonderful story to tell. Um, Princella, I've known both of them for a long time. Princella for much longer. So she's a very dear friend, personally and to my family as well. And she is professionally the um, founding publisher of the Benton Spirit community newspaper. She is also the founder and director of one of the founders and directors of A for Asthma. Also, Benton Harbor Solutions. She has a very long uh, resume, but
Oh, I'm
I'll be
sorry.
hearing from
Yeah,
her. So, someone has got their mic on. Please turn it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also are going to hear from Dr. Susan Buchanan, who gave a presentation. It's about 2 years ago now, I think. And that was sort of like the inspiration for us doing something. And it has evolved into A for Asthma and other community health type projects. So those are our two speakers today that will tell us all about A for Asthma. Guys, got it?
All right, thank you. So Princess, her screen, she called me, her computer just froze. And so I
Okay.
think she's trying to rejoin. So in the meantime, I just have 3 slides to give you just a sense of why A for asthma. And I'm on the faculty of the School of Public Health in Chicago, and I receive EPA and CDC funding to run the Children's Reproductive and Children's Environmental Health Center at UIC. So my specialty is in the health effects of environmental exposures. So why are we particularly focused on asthma in Benton Harbor? Because there are real health disparities in asthma, especially by race and income. And these are just some, I'm just going to give you some statistics before Princella describes what the A for Asthma Project is. You can see the differences here in national asthma rates. There is a huge difference in the percentage of people who've been diagnosed with asthma between Black children and white children, Black adults and white adults. And then mortality is, if you don't know, means death. And who's dying of asthma? You can see there that Black children are 7 times more Black children die of asthma than white children. That is a scary, horrific number. And with adults, Black adults, 2.5 times more Black adults die of asthma than white adults. So there is a real problem that we're trying to address. And those were national numbers. Now, if you look at Michigan, it's similar. You've got differences in the percentage of people who have asthma. So 20% of adults in Michigan have been diagnosed. Black adults have been diagnosed with asthma, 16% of whites. And this is people who've ever received the diagnosis of asthma. And then when you look at Berrien County, the numbers are even more dramatic. So 25% of Blacks in Berrien County have been diagnosed with asthma sometime in their lifetime, with 14% of whites. And I just wanted to touch on, this is a really busy slide, but I did not create this. I got this off Google, and what it shows is all the things that are causing these differences, because if we're going to fix them, we got to know why it's happening, right? So this graphic, if you ignore the red circles and look at the blue circles, it divides up these causes of higher rates of asthma and asthma deaths into individual level, what's going on in the household, what's going on in the neighborhood, and then what's going on kind of in our world, our policy world. And I put red circles around the things that we've been touching on in our work with A for Asthma. And if you start at the bottom, we're looking at household level things like pets and allergens. What in the home is causing allergies, because that can make asthma worse. And then
Dr. Buchanan, I'm still seeing the first slide. I don't know if that's the case for everyone else.
oh, that's too bad.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were still talking from, sorry. Your second slide, I guess, I see it in the left-hand corner, but not full.
Oh, that's so annoying.
I
So
know.
Monica, you're not the only one
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's having problems. Gosh, maybe
Yeah,
it's
try it there.
can you see
I can,
that now?
the last slide, number 3 is what we're seeing now. Is that what
So
you
I'm
want?
just, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that even though it's not full. We're not gonna try to mess with that. So this is that
Okay.
slide where you've got individual household, neighborhood level. And I just wanted to point out domestic combustion there on household level. Because what are the things that are being burned inside the home? So we're actually burning things inside the home that are causing asthma and can make asthma worse. So number one, cigarettes, right? So cigarettes, you strike a flame, you're actually burning the cigarette, which gives off emissions. Our gas ranges. So you've got an open flame that is causing the indoor air quality to be worse. If you have a kerosene heater, if you have a fireplace, you're burning wood or a gas fireplace, anything that is burning inside the home is going to make the air quality worse. So there are definitely things inside the home that can make asthma worse. Then when you look at the neighborhood, I just circled a couple things. We're talking about green space actually has an effect on the asthma and outdoor pollution and allergens. We've definitely been working on that with A for asthma because up there on the administrative level, it lists air quality. So we've been doing some great outreach work to teach people about what is AQI, how can you find out what the air quality index is on any particular day. And so these administrative level, in the next year, we're going to work on access to asthma care. Are people in Berrien County and Benton Harbor, do they have access to good asthma care from your local providers? So as a physician myself, I'm going to try to reach out to some of the asthma specialists in the area to make sure that the access to care is good. And then environmental justice. So EPA, CDC, lots of money going to address environmental justice inequities. And that means that there are neighborhoods in this country where the pollution is worse, the air quality is worse, the housing is worse, all these things that we know can make asthma worse. So if we're going to try to even up these asthma rates of death and asthma rates of diagnosis, we need to address all of those. So Princess, if you are on,
Yes.
you can take over from there. Thanks.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear
So
me?
Princess,
Yes.
just so you know, I have it set up so you could see Marlene. I would have, I could do it.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you want to talk about it?
Let me just be
So-
real brief at the
okay.
beginning. Thank all of you for your patience for us being on this call because this Environmental Fridays touch the core of our hearts. You just heard Dr. Susan Buchanan talk about, some of the reasons of asthma. What is asthma, the triggers, and all of those things. So you take all of that and you come into our little small, quaint, beautiful community where we have 24.5% of Black adults who have been diagnosed with asthma. 24.5%. That's 1 out of every 4 people in your family, at your dinner table, at your job. And that was 2017, 2018. Oh my goodness, today, what could it be? I don't know, but I know one thing. We're doing something about it here in Benton Harbor in Southwest Michigan, in the Michiana area. We formed the A for Asthma team, the A for Asthma program. And with our A for Asthma program, thank you, Dr. Susan Buchanan. Thank you, the University of Illinois, Chicago Public Health. Thank you, EPA. I want to thank all of our asthma ambassadors. I want to thank our community for their brave voices, their brave faces. And Dr. Murray, if you would share one of the brave voices. Sometimes some things are worth being repeated. And this is one of our asthma ambassadors who shared her story, her journey with us last year.
Okay.
Dr. Murray, you can go ahead.
So, yeah, so hold on. I will have to, this, share. And is everybody seeing the screen?
I can.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
Yes.
I will do full screen there and play.
Us with the A for Asthma program, and that is Mrs. Marlene West. Hello, Marlene.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, I've been having asthma problems for the last week. So just bear with me because I've been shortness of breath. But I'm here this morning to let people know that I've been dealing with asthma most of my life. I lost loved ones by it. I've helped people get over attacks. I help children learn more about it. I got great grandkids that has asthma right now and suffering with it. I have this subject is really hard because it's affecting my entire family right now because everybody is worried about me because I guess as with age it gets worse. You know, it gets worse. So it's very important to know a lot about what's happening with asthma. As far as a plan, I need to get.
What just happened?
I need to get with my doctor and get on the plan right now. Having a plan is very important. Having the right medication is very important, and the equipment is important. I did not have a fibrillator for treatment. I went to the Intercare and they did a treatment there. And I'm trying to get me some equipment for the treatment right now. I'm waiting for my doctor to call in, but this is it's a serious subject, and it's been not out in the public for so long that people just hadn't realized how bad it is, and it's really a big impact. And I can tell right now by me right now they trying to renovate my house, and it's like crowding in on me. And I never felt like this as much as I'm feeling now with this asthma. But it's very, very important, and it's hard to deal with if you don't know anything about it. It's life-threatening if you don't know anything about it or how to combat. Like if you have an attack, somebody that don't know about what's happening, they'll think it's just, a breathing problem and tell you to just breathe. But that's not it. You need more. You need attention. You need help. You can't do it on your own. You gotta get help. You gotta have the medicine. You gotta have the attention. You gotta follow the plan. And I realize that is very important because I have lost people from asthma just recently.
Princess?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Dr. Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, pardon?
I was wondering if you wanted it to end there or
We can end there because I know we don't have a lot of time. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lot of time later. We do have a lot of time if you can join us for the A for Asthma program here in Benton Harbor, serving our Southwest Michigan area. What you just heard was one brave voice. There are others in our community. There's a mother mourning right now, and her 10-year-old died last year. The school did a tribute and put a big rock outside of the school. Precious, beautiful little girl who's gone. Marlene would tell you that her mother died of asthma. She would tell you that her great-grandson died of asthma, and his daughter at the age of 3. And then her mother died of asthma. We're talking death. No more machines, no more nothing. This is serious. 24.6% in Barron County, Michigan for African Americans, adults. This is serious. And as I told Dr. Susan Buchanan, because even when she heard Marlene speak, I think she was at the airport and she called right away. What can we do to help her? Marlene is doing better, much better. But she still has asthma, as well as some of her family members. We are meeting today at noon to go over our events that we're having, and I'll share those with you. This is so serious. When you talk to Archie Davis, when you talk to, God, there's so many, my cousin, Keith, who died in his car having an asthma attack. So I hate to be so grim on this day, but it is serious in our community. It is serious across the nation when nationally is 6%, and then we're at 24%. As I told Dr. Susan Buchanan, who's leading us, is that this is a pandemic. This is a pandemic. So I'll tell you some of the things that we've been doing. Marlene has been that brave asthma ambassador. So is a host of others in our community. And what they do when you hear about the Canadian wildfire, they get right straight on the phone, calling up people who is part of our network who are asthmatics and sharing with them how to be careful, how to be safe. When we go to airnow.gov, they're able to show them how to do that on their own, but also to share with them what needs to be done if we're looking at air quality that's poor air quality. We're going into the school systems, and this is something that's just gets me going about our school systems, because I'm talking to teachers who are telling us that almost in some classrooms, half of their students have asthma. When the football coach is telling us they can't even play an entire game, or the basketball coach, because their players have asthma. This is so serious in our community, and this is why the A for Asthma program, when Susan said, what do you want to do? Because we were dealing with water and lead in Benton Harbor when she came to me, we chose asthma. And it's just so important that it may seem grim, but when you have brave asthma ambassadors like Marlene and Archie, we have county commissioners, we have city commissioners with asthma, we have school teachers and officials with asthma. And that's why in May is National Asthma Awareness Month. And in May, one of the things, of the many things that we are doing, Dr. Susan Buchanan will be reaching out to cities, townships, and other municipalities so that they would pass a resolution observing May as National Awareness Month and joining us in some of our programs. We're going to start this coming May 15th, where we're having an environmental training by Dr. Laurel Berman, and the A for Asthma team will be there as well to connect with more residents for that event that we're having on the 15th. On the 16th is a health fair that we will be at. So we'll be there at the health fair, our A for Asthma team. And then on the 30th, it is all about us. It is about the A for Asthma program. On the 30th of this month in May, which is still National Asthma Awareness Month, we will have our national awareness event where we will actually pay tribute to our ambassadors who work so diligently, taking calls, meeting with people. They'll do whatever they can. Archie came the other day and picked up some peak flow machines and some wristbands with the airnow.gov just to go and take to other people. It's a grassroots effort, but with the support and the partnership of UIC, we are really looking to enhance, and EPA, enhance our presence in our community. The NAACP have been reestablished in the Niles Buchanan area that is part of Barron County. They're on board to work with us. We're reaching out to our local hospital that will be on board, and some others that are on board to help us. Our theme, asthma education empowers. And we will continue empowering the people of Benton Harbor and Southwest Michigan. We're hoping that there's some groups even from South Bend, since we're on the border of Indiana, that will be coming to our event on the 30th. So that's what we're doing. And I would tell you this, I think it was Heidi who said, it's not even like work when you love what you're doing. And when you can touch lives and save lives, we love what we're doing. And it actually makes me think of the tribute we're having today for Desmond's mother. The last time I spoke with her, they're a family that still prays together, no matter where they live. And he invited me for one of their prayer sessions. But one thing I can always, and she says this every time I speak with Desmond's mother, I love you, princess. I love you, princess. I love you, princess. And it touches my heart because this is such a wonderful, wonderful woman. But that type of love that she was able to give me, That's the type of love that we're able to give every and each person, if they're asthmatic or not, if they're family members or friends, we're able to actually give that type of love and share that love with the people for our Aid for Asthma program. Dr. Murray will be sending out information about our program, and we hope you would all share it. We have an 800 number, which is 855-269-1519. But Dr. Murray will be sending out information to all of you on this call. And if you know me, I'll be sending information out to the world because we want to celebrate our brave faces and voices, and we want to continue educating and providing resources for people in our community who are facing asthma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you both, Susan and Princella, for giving us an update, and not just an update, but the reason, the rationale, the motivation for why you are involved, we are involved in trying to help people that are suffering from asthma. So if there are any comments or questions, we could take maybe a couple of them and then we'll move on to our main event. Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you, Desmond. Thank you, Princella and Suzanne. I know you talked about, I was kind of in and out, but this is Desmond's sister. Do you guys see any types of mental health effects or causes? Is there any relationship between, this is a question, is there any relationship between the conditions, the environment that creates asthma and that also creates mental health challenges? Could anybody speak on that?
Okay.
There's definitely a coalition. There's definitely a need for you and your services. Unfortunately, what happened, we were going to reach out to you because when we say brave voices, these voices are sharing with us how they feel. And in that connection there, we knew one of our other solutions for them is to find someone to speak with them and to talk to them. We have family members now. I mean, these are family members where there are like a half a dozen in the family dealing with asthma. And we need them to be connected with someone who can assist them. I think it is essential. And Susan, you can speak about it from your perspective as being an MD doctor.
Yeah, no, definitely that third slide I showed with the causes of these differences between racial differences in asthma and asthma severity and death from asthma. Mental health was one on there that I didn't circle, and it goes both ways. So there is scientific proof that stress makes asthma worse, whatever the stress is. All kind of stress just from having a difficult life or problems in life or living in an area that that actually looks as decrepit, is not kept up, when there's lots of litter, and if you're feeling discrimination, all of that is stress that has been scientifically shown to make asthma worse. And then the other direction is, of course, having asthma is stressful, and not being able to breathe is stressful. So you can get into this really, and having the effects on your family and not being able to get to the doctor, or not being able to afford the doctor, or having family members that are in the hospital because of it or die of it. All that creates stress. So it's this cycle of mental health that definitely plays a role in asthma.
Dr. Buchanan, is there a genetic component in asthma? As you may find one member in a family who has it and others are free.
What they're finding is that with asthma, there's it's called epigenetic, where it's not in the DNA, like in the gene, but it's the effects, your lifetime exposures and effects in your life that can get carried down to other family members around your DNA. And I keep going like this because that's, you know, the DNA is in that spiral, but it's these molecules around the spiral of DNA that can get passed. It's very, very interesting kind of new area of discovery that It's not just your genes that you directly inherit, but these molecules that are attached to your genes that can get attached because you live in a bad environment, because you're in a stressful environment, because you smoke, those can actually get passed on. Yeah.
Wow.
Can I speak to that? Um, so I didn't know about the epigenetic factors, but recent genome-wide studies, so they looked at the entire genome, and they've identified about 100 genes that contribute to asthma. And
Wow.
these genes affect the structure of your lung way, the passageways in the lungs, and it also impacts your risk factor, right? And whether or not you will die from it. So, but here's the hopeful thing in that is that the genes only contribute to a small percentage of people who actually have asthma. So it suggests that there's a larger environmental component, which gives hope of being able to correct that problem.
So thank you, Molly. How could my organization, as a culturally conscious, inclusive, and responsive mental health organization, collaborate with you or to help individuals with asthma and the stresses of asthma, the stresses that either cause it or come as a result of it?
So one of the things, Yvonne, we might, for that, question, is we'll talk offline with Susan and Princess, because we need to move on to the main speaker too, but it could come back up in our Q&A after, but we need to make some progress here towards our next speaker. It's a good question, and Susan and Princella definitely would be able to talk with you more offline. All right. Okay, so our next part of the program would involve Heidi. If you could introduce our speaker, Monica.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Wonderful. I am so excited to be here this morning. I love the conversation. This is the kind of stuff I live for. I'm so honored to introduce a hardworking individual that has taken the journey with me in reducing asthma disparities in Region 5. I remember when Monica started in this position. That's how long I've been around. We have collaborated over the years in outreach and education tactics as it related to the communities in our respective regions. Monica Paguia has been a scientist with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for over 25 years. For the past 13 years, she has worked on indoor air quality issues, where she serves as the asthma program coordinator. She relies on strong partnerships with state, local, and tribal asthma programs to maximize efforts in raising awareness and educating the public about healthy indoor air quality and environmental asthma management. As a mother of 3 girls, 2 whom live with asthma, Monica understands the importance of maintaining healthy indoor environments. I introduce to you, Monica.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Heidi. So, just to give you a little bit more of a background on my career with EPA, I actually, my background's in chemistry. So I started out at EPA as a chemist in our regional laboratory. I analyzed environmental samples for PCBs and pesticides. I did that for almost a decade or so, and then moved on to our air and radiation division, where I worked in ambient air monitoring. So that's outdoor air, specifically on the quality assurance of ambient air monitoring. I did that for a few years, and then this position opened up as the asthma program coordinator in our indoor air section. And so, I moved over there, and it's been very rewarding. Again, I do have 3 girls. My youngest is 13. I have a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old. My 13-year-old and 21-year-old both have asthma. And actually, it's been just this past couple of weeks has been kind of rough with the weather changing, allergies, and they both have like a cold. So it's just been really exacerbated. So, I hear you, I feel you, and this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I'm besides the asthma program coordinator, I do a lot of other things as well. I represent our division on our EJ work group, and I also lead our air and radiation division community initiatives. I'm currently leading one in Flint, Michigan, where we basically work with our community partners to hear what their air quality issues are and help support their needs. So that's a little bit more about me. And, I was asked to speak today again in preparation for Asthma Awareness Month in May. EPA has a webpage specifically for Asthma Awareness Month that provides tools and resources that not only teach you about asthma, but also provides information that you can use to promote asthma awareness. And not only is May Asthma Awareness Month, but the first full week in May is Air Quality Week. Each day that week has its own theme. You may know that May 7th, Tuesday, is World Asthma Day. And that second link in blue has information that you can use to take action that week.
Well, I don't think we are seeing you. We're still on your first slide.
Oh boy.
I know it's happened with Susan. I don't know what's going on here today.
I know I closed it out and opened it back up. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
Okay.
let's do that again.
All right. Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like I have 3 windows open, but for some reason, okay, let's try this again. Maybe I'll just do this. Can you guys see? That's can you see my first slide?
We are seeing the first slide.
Okay. And that's the second. That's the second one that I just went over.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what you'll have to do.
Those are the things you talk to us about. Okay.
Okay. And so, I'm going to talk about indoor asthma triggers. And I think I was on a talk with Dr. Susan Buchanan. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where she went over some of these too. So it's a nice, refresher for most of you. Hopefully, it's new information for some of you. I'm going to talk about the indoor asthma triggers and ways to control them, and then later talk more about the resources that we have that you can help you to spread awareness to others. So before I talk about these asthma triggers, I do want to set the stage as to why we're talking about them. When we think about the environment and environmental protection, I think some people generally the first thing that comes to mind is the outdoors, right? However, the indoor environment is just as important because we spend roughly 90% of our time indoors. And there are several factors that can impact indoor air quality, like temperature, odors, ventilation, and common sources of indoor air pollution. So maintaining indoor air quality, healthy indoor air quality, really depends on properly controlling these factors. Poor indoor air quality can cause several health issues, ranging from fatigue, allergies, asthma, and to even more severe issues like cancer and even death. It's important to note that children especially are more susceptible to these exposures because they are still developing, and they breathe in more air per pound of body weight than adults do. And so, what is asthma? We know it's a chronic disease that affects the lungs, making it really difficult to breathe. Generally, I think there are 3 things that are happening in the airways, in the lungs. The lining becomes inflamed, the muscles around the airways tighten, and then the lungs form mucus. Asthma can develop at any age. It can be life-threatening, as we've heard from our previous presenters. But with proper management, it can be controlled. And, here's a graph that I took from the CDC. It's very close to the data that Dr. Buchanan presented earlier. On average, about 8% of the population in the United States has asthma. Asthma rates are higher among adults compared to children. They're higher among females, and they're more prevalent among the Black population compared to white and Hispanic. And it's important to note that historically marginalized communities tend to have a much higher asthma rates due to living in areas where there's higher pollution, less access to proper medical care, socioeconomic status, maybe housing, and other contributing factors. So it's just important to keep that in mind. Let's see. And so components of asthma management, generally speaking, there are two main components of proper asthma management. They are the medical management of asthma, which includes diagnosis, medical treatment, and education, of course, right? Environmental management is the second part, which includes understanding your common asthma triggers and how to reduce exposures to them. So I'm going to, again, be focusing on the environmental asthma triggers. I do want to add a disclaimer that I'm not a medical professional. So what I am talking about today is not meant to replace, the advice of your healthcare provider. So, make sure that if, you or someone you know has asthma, that they're talking with their doctor. And so, here's a list of common indoor asthma triggers. These aren't, it's not a complete list, but it's really the more common ones. And it's the ones that we typically talk about, at the EPA. And then I'm just going to go through each one in the next few slides, to talk about ways to control those. Animal dander, right? It's a common allergen, an asthma trigger. It's specifically the proteins from the skin cells, saliva, and waste of products from the warm-blooded animals, cats, dogs, hamsters, things like that. The best way to manage this, really, the very best way is to remove them from the indoors. But I know that, a lot of folks, these are family members, so you don't get rid of them, right? So, we recommend that you clean regularly, keep pets in cages away from any vents, keep them off furniture, especially fabric covered furniture. And something that has actually been proven very effective is keeping any pets out of the bedroom, especially for those who are sensitive. So yeah, so, those are just some easy steps. Next, we have cockroaches and pest allergens. It's like animal dander. It's the proteins from the skin cells, saliva, waste products of pets. Cockroaches, it's like the body parts. The safest way to reduce or eliminate pests is to use integrated pest management, which includes controlling the food source and eliminating any cracks or holes to keep pests from entering in the first place. Clutter should be kept to a minimum to limit hiding spots, and pesticides should really be a last resort and only used as needed and according to the directions. Dust mites, so these are microscopic insects that feed off of dead skin cells. They are typically found in fabric covered furniture. And again, it's the proteins from their body parts and waste that cause these allergies and asthma. Dust mites can be reduced by using mattress and pillow encasements, regularly dusting using a damp cloth so that it's not just kicked up into the air again. Vacuuming using a HEPA vacuum, a high efficiency particulate air that has a high efficiency particulate air filter. And then washing bedding and fabric covered toys regularly in hot water. Next is mold. It's important to note that molds are a part of our natural environment, right? It can be found everywhere. It's everywhere. It's indoors, it's outdoors, but mold's not usually a problem unless it begins to grow indoors. The best way to control mold growth is to control moisture. Using a dehumidifier, running your fans can help. If there's visible mold indoors, you want to, or at least, or an indication of any kind of moisture, you want to fix that source. Water could come from a leaky pipe, from condensation, from a leaky roof. And then you should also clean up the moldy areas immediately using hot soapy water to clean up the mold. You can use bleach, of course, but you want to use bleach when those who aren't sensitive or who are asthmatic, that they're not around when using bleach. And then mold is growing, if you see it growing like on porous materials like carpeting or drywall, you definitely want to remove them and dispose of them instead of trying to clean them up, because it's really hard. And then we typically advise that you hire a professional if the moldy area is larger than a 3 by 3 square foot area. You know, this was mentioned earlier as well. So nitrogen dioxide gas can build up indoors. It can cause eye, nose, and throat irritation and trigger asthma symptoms. NO2 is emitted from fuel burning appliances. When using these appliances, it's important to use the exhaust fan that vents to the outside, or if there is no exhaust fan, use open a window to ventilate to make sure that the NO2 does not build up indoors. Never use a stove or oven to keep warm, and always follow the instructions to ensure safe and proper use. See here. So secondhand smoke and e-cigarette aerosols. So secondhand smoke is the smoke that comes from the burning end of a cigarette, cigars, pipes, and are exhaled by the smoker. It contains many substances, many that are cancer causing, and it can increase the severity of asthma and increase the number of asthma attacks, but it can also increase the risk of children developing asthma at a young age. So, you know, while some people believe that e-cigarettes are a safer substitution for cigarettes, you know, there are also many harmful chemicals in e-cigarettes. Some substances like volatile organic compounds, nicotine, ultrafine particles, other cancer-causing chemicals, heavy metals like nickel, tin, and lead, and then flavoring, you know, especially in these e-cigarettes, contain diacetyl. It's a chemical linked to serious lung disease. I don't know if anyone's heard of like popcorn lung. This was, based on, this was found in microwavable popcorn in the flavoring. So it's the similar chemical that's found in e-cigarettes. So ideally, we'd like to see everyone quit smoking and vaping, but until that happens, it should really only be done outdoors at a safe distance from entrances, windows, and air intakes. It should also be done away from others, especially children. And we advise those who smoke or vape to wear a smoking jacket or sweater to reduce the amount of third-hand smoke that they bring indoors. So basically, this is like a jacket that they wear only when they're smoking, and then take it off once they return indoors. Chemical irritants. And these can come in various forms, like cleaning supplies, paints, adhesives, personal care products, like perfumes or deodorant sprays. And one of the common issues we find in schools and homes are air fresheners. You know, though these things may smell good, they aren't necessarily safe for everyone. The chemical irritants release particles and aerosols into the air that may irritate those with asthma or who are sensitive to strong odors. We recommend switching products or using products when those who are sensitive to them aren't around. We recommend ventilating the area when in use if possible, and always use these products according to their instructions. So those are the common indoor triggers, but it would be remiss of me not to mention other common asthma triggers. While understanding and managing indoor triggers is incredibly important, we can't forget about other triggers like viral infections. The common cold can exacerbate asthma. Sudden changes in temperature. If you think about like a very hot day and going indoors where it's air conditioned, kind of that sudden change in temperature can be very jarring on the lungs. We talked about stress earlier, and strong emotional reactions like laughing or crying. They can actually change breathing patterns and trigger asthma. There's such a thing as exercise-induced asthma, and of course, outdoor air triggers like pollen and air pollution. And so this is where I'm going to transition to our resources. These can help folks to make informed decisions about their health in regards to outdoor air quality. It's important to understand what the outdoor air quality is like, especially for those with asthma. The EPA oversees each state's air monitoring network, and you can use the AQI or AQI airnow.gov to find out what the air quality is like in your area. If you click on that link, a box pops up and it asks you to enter your zip code, and then it'll tell you what the air quality is for that day. The nice thing, we mentioned wildfires earlier on airnow.gov. There's also this fire and smoke map, which can tell you about the air quality and the smoke near you. It can be very helpful after the air quality issues we've experienced last summer due to the wildfire smoke coming from Canada's wildfires. And kind of continuing on that conversation about wildfire smoke and how it can potentially impact the indoor air, it's times like these, it's important to really be mindful of your personal exposure to fine particulate matter or PM, especially for people with asthma. It's important for them to limit their time outdoors when the air quality is poor. And then EPA has information on how to reduce your exposure to PM. This includes information like, closing windows indoors, using air cleaners, and creating a clean room in your school or home. And we do have a video that was created on how to do that. Additional resources that the EPA offers. We have a lot of publication and outreach materials. These are free to download and print. That first one is a book for schools on managing asthma in the school environment. That second one is a checklist that you can use to go through your home and try to identify what triggers are in your home and then ways to reduce those. That third is a booklet for parents who have children with asthma. And then Dusty, the asthma trigger fun book, is for children to help them learn more about environmental asthma triggers. We have, again, lots of resources. The Asthma Awareness Month link at the top, again, takes you to our webpage that provides resources you can use to promote asthma awareness during the month of May. It includes sample social media posts, hashtags to use, and infographics, and lots of other good things. And then our general asthma link, Asthma US EPA, is here as well. It provides more information. The Asthma Community Network is a organization that is a network of organizations, that convene here to share resources, ask questions, and there's just lots of information there. And membership is free. You do have to sign up, but membership is free, and it is a very useful way to get more information on asthma, CDC's asthma website, and then the Pediatric Environmental Health Specialty Unit, which Dr. Buchanan is part of. They're a national network of experts in environmental health for children. So, folks can always go there too if they have any questions. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you for your time. Again, I'm Monica Paguia from Region 5 EPA. Region 5 covers the Great Lakes states, and then Heidi is my counterpart in Region 4. She covers the Southeast states. You can feel free to reach out to either of us anytime if you have any questions. This photo here on the left is an interactive house that walks you through the various sources in the home that can potentially affect indoor air quality. So it's a really cool interactive tool. So with that, yeah, I just, if there's any questions, Heidi or and I know I have a couple of my colleagues from Region 5 on as well. We can answer any questions.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Yes, thank you. I see. So Mariah, I have seen your hand up for a while. Do you still have a question? Is it, and I'm sorry if I said your name wrong.
Maria.
Mary Alice.
Oh, no,
thank you all. Forgive the noise. I was just doing a nebulizer, and it just so happens that we're talking about asthma. My problems didn't come from asthma, but I do have a question. Finding out, with my lungs failing and everything due to long-term smoking, probably exposed to asbestos, mold, and a lot of other things. My question is, I'm finding out that a lot of our medications are coming from other countries that we need, and how we can bring some of that back to the United States. My next question is, how does asbestos have anything to do with asthma itself? Most importantly, we're fighting climate change and all of these various issues that many of you have spoke on. We have a power plant that's about to open back up. I guess I need to hear from the experts of how something like that would trigger what we're trying to clean up when it comes to the air that we breathe. And is that something that we should be allowing to happen, or is it something that many organizations should be getting together to make sure that it doesn't? Instead, we need to be looking more at wind and air and solar. Thank you.
Several questions in there. It sounds like a final exam.
I'm sorry, Dr. Murray. You know me, but I appreciate you so much. And just know my prayers are with you and your family.
No, it's all cool. I'm just having fun.
Thank you.
So who would like to take, some aspects of what Mary Alice's questions are? There was one on asbestos, for example.
Yeah, I'm not an asbestos expert. I don't know if Dr. Buchanan is still on, if she has anything to say about that. But I can certainly say climate change is affecting asthma in the sense that, it's like spring is coming sooner, right? Plants are growing faster. So like we get allergies and asthma from pollen sooner than we'd like, things like that. At EPA, we do enforcement inspections on these facilities that emit, any kind of air pollutant, and we do check that they are following their permits. And so it's really difficult. We can't always say that one specific plant is causing asthma for the community, right? Because you just heard that there's lots of things that could trigger asthma, but it's certainly a factor. Is there anyone else who wants to say anything about the questions she asked?
I didn't hear what type of power plant it is. Do you know? Is it burning coal? I assume they're not opening back up coal burning plants, which are the most.
No, it's not coal. It's nuclear.
It's
nuclear.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm a big climate change activist and would always say yes to more renewable sources, wind and solar. Absolutely. We should all be working, pressuring our government to put more money into it. They're actually pouring money into solar right now, both on big solar farms and rebates for individual panels on your own house. So There's a lot out there right now for solar. From what I've heard from experts on this transition that we have to make, nuclear is going to play a role for a period of time because we have to get rid of the coal burning. So we have to stop burning coal. And the solar is apparently not going to be quick enough. It's not going to come online quick enough. And so nuclear is probably going to have to be in the mix. And even though it does generate waste that doesn't go away for thousands of years, it doesn't make the air quality around the plants necessarily worse and would not have a role in asthma. Radiation that we know doesn't have a role in making asthma worse. So I guess that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, and I also know that they do a lot of testing almost every year around nuclear plants in terms of how it affects vegetation, air, water. I've seen, volumes of documents detailing the impact. So there is that as well to, ensure that things are okay in the environment.
And I would just add that, yes, climate change does play a role in asthma. Like Monica said, it makes the allergy season longer, the pollens and the molds and stuff, we have a longer season. But also the heat, these heat waves can be really detrimental to people with asthma.
I'm wondering for persons in Trinidad and the Caribbean that might be on here, is asthma is it a problem in here? Because what I do know is that we are impacted a lot by the Sahara dust. It's almost every day with varying degrees of thickness and stuff like that. So is anyone on here that could speak to that?
I would say you've hit the nail on the head. I'm Mrs. Patricia McGo from Trinidad. I come from a family of people who have asthma, and periodically they are absolutely not sure whether I have asthma or whether I have a heart problem. And I'm kind of going between the two. But yes, Sahara dust is a real serious problem. Also, we have a lot of pollution control from diesel vehicles and things like this. And because we do not live indoors, we live outdoors. So there's always dust. And at this time of the year, there's a lot of bushfires. So we have smoke in the atmosphere, we have Sahara dust to deal with, and heat, excessive heat. Yes, and you're absolutely right. I'm beginning to think now that I do have asthma from the discussion today, and I really like to thank you for the discussion today. I don't know if you want me to say anything else, or I think that's enough for now, but yes, we do have serious problems. And children going to school, walking along the roads with the quarry trucks and the dust associated with it and the diesel fumes. I mean, we tried to do a study in the valley that I live in, and it just didn't gain traction with the doctors. Maybe we'll try again. But thank you very much for today's conversation.
So is the Ministry of Health, I'm assuming, do you know of any sort of active, addressing by the Ministry of Health on asthma prevention, on air quality? Is there any sort of governmental?
EMA monitor the air quality in specific regions in Trinidad and in Tobago. And yes, just recently we have got to the stage that hadn't reached the red alert, but it had reached orange, showing very poor quality. We also have the Beetham landfill, which periodically fires, and then you see that the air quality is next to Port of Spain. The air quality this happened recently, and the air quality in Port of Spain is very poor.
Yeah, very bad. So I know in the US, right, like Susan and Monica, isn't there now for a few years, maybe more than that, regulations regarding diesel trucks, but because I don't see them spewing a lot of smoke as it used to be maybe 10, 15 years ago.
I'd have to talk to our experts about that. I can't say offhand.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't think there's been anything dramatic on diesel.
Yeah.
I think they're still spewing a whole heck of a lot.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I think it's coming down. I think it's coming. That's what I think. I don't think big on diesel. I'm not sure though.
And we do have, funding programs that people can, be part of to do retrofits, like school buses and tugboats and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, the trouble in Trinidad is lack of maintenance, and also diesel is particularly popular because it's about half the price. It's heavily subsidized because there's lots of goods vehicles. Most of the goods vehicles, taxis, a lot of them use diesel because of the cost. And yes, maintenance is a serious problem, and regulating they do not do testing, air quality testing along the roads, from what I gather. They will test from standing vehicles, but they do not go out on the roads very often and check air quality unless they're going to do an environmental impact assessment, and then they will maybe check air quality for a short period of time. But of course, when you check air quality, if you move 10, 15 feet away, then the air quality changes drastically. So, right, I don't mean to talk so much, excuse me.
No,
Dr. Murray, since next month is National Asthma Awareness Month, and for me, I believe that 24.6% is a pandemic. I would like to know, so far in our almost 3 years, or could be plus, we've been working very closely with Elizabeth Poole because her heart is with us. She's with EPA. But since we do have the asthma coordinators here on the line, is there any funding to help us? We're on a shoestring budget with a pandemic in our community. And can you direct us to where we can go to find not just extra funding, but also the resources that you talked about? We will do our due diligence. Elizabeth has given us hundreds and hundreds of books, and let me tell you, they're almost gone. Thank you, Elizabeth Poole, but they've been very helpful. And prior to that, we've been making copies of our own. I would like to know, since we're going into May right now, what are some of the other resources in funding that you can direct us to help us with what I consider a pandemic in our community?
Yeah, I saw Elizabeth type something in the chat. Elizabeth, do you want to come on and talk a little bit about EGA grants?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about some of the EGA grants. So yeah, my name is Elizabeth Poole. I'm the Children's Health Coordinator for EPA Region 5. I'm housed in the Environmental Justice Program. And so we have quite a few grant programs that are either currently opening or coming online in the next couple of weeks. The first one is called, and I'll put all these links in the chat and send them to Dr. Murray as well for distribution. But the first one is called the Community Change Grant. And that grant closes in November, and it's on a rolling review basis. And so as you submit a grant for proposal, EPA will review it and get back to you with feedback within a couple of weeks, and then you can resubmit. So that's different from our typical grant process where you might submit it and then you may or may not ever hear from us with sort of meaningful feedback about how to amend the grant. There's 2 tracks for that grant. One is smaller in the neighborhood of $1 to $2 million, and the other one is much larger in the neighborhood of $10 to $20 million. These grants must have a nexus to climate justice, which very squarely fits within the, the asthma world. And the kicker about these grants is the money must be spent in 3 years. So projects really need to be, shovel ready to go. So that's the community change grant. There is technical assistance available for the community change grant by a contractor, and you can request some support. The lead on those grants should be a community-based organization, but we're looking for multi-stakeholder, partnerships, universities, local governments, whoever wants to get together and make change under the community change grant. So that's that grant. The second one that's about to come online are the grant maker. And so if you're at all familiar with EPA grants, we previously had something called the EJ Small Grant Program, where we would issue under $100,000 grants. And these were for all sorts of different projects to local community-based organizations. However, the administrative burden on communities is really high, right? To find, apply, and manage a big federal grant. And so we amended the process and issued a large chunk of money to a big foundation, and the foundation will now administer those grants. They will be anywhere from, I think, $50,000 to $300,000. But the reason why this is a better process is because we're taking away the administrative federal reporting burden on behalf of communities. We expect that grant process, that grant program to open up in mid-June, early July. So that one is coming. There will be lots of technical assistance associated with the rollout. And as soon as we have more information, we will let you know. But I will put the information about those 2 grant programs in the chat. Those are the 2 that I'm aware of that we have open right now. I know that there are others coming and going, and whatever makes most sense to keep you all updated about some of our grants and other technical assistance opportunities, I'm happy to do that. I think I mostly text them to Princella, right? So, but yeah, we're happy to get the word out. We want folks to take advantage of these opportunities because this is, sort of once in a lifetime money for the environmental justice world, right? So let me know what other information would be helpful.
All right. That's totally appreciated.
Thank you,
Dr. Murray.
Elizabeth. I see, is it Mary Alice? Oh,
Yes, ma'am. I'd like
okay.
to ask Elizabeth a question because I'm always on those calls, and she touched base on exactly some grants that I was hoping to get with Princella and Dr. Murray to share with. And not only that, getting our regional community specialist, Bobby Boyd, in to have a community-wide meeting with everyone so he can answer some of those questions. And Elizabeth would be helpful too as a panelist. I know that we put up a lot of fuss about making things easier for foundations and nonprofits, and I'm glad to hear that the grant makers are looking more towards that EPA period is looking more at dealing with foundations and making the process easier. There was a grant that was mentioned at not the last office hours, but the one before, and it mentioned something about gun violence and survivors, and it had mental health and all of that in there. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? Is it possible to utilize some of the extended portion of those funds for mental health? I went into it to actually dissect what we could use and what we could not use. I think it was for victims as well to gun violence that could when I opened it up, it spoke more about 9/11, and I'm sure that I don't know how to go deeper into it to find what was readily available for us in our respective communities as it relates to uh, um, mental health and all those other things, because asthma, when you're dealing with a sick child and all of that, it's a burden that stresses you, that, you know, causes and brings about even more problems like mental health, and you'd be surprised.
Yeah. I guess Elizabeth is the grant person here. You want to answer that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the specifically about, was that an EPA grant, the 9/11 grant? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Huh,
Yes.
okay, cool. I mean, hey, EPA gives grants a lot of money. And I'm not I don't know all the ins and outs of all the grant programs, but the community change grant is very broad. If you read the RFP, the request for proposals, it is extremely broad. And so as long as you can, you know, craft that nexus to climate justice, to climate change, to environmental justice, I think a lot of actions, there's a lot of eligibility on the table. So I mean, you can drive a bus through climate change, right? There's a lot of things that apply to climate change. And so yeah, I can't speak specifically because the grant is open. However, a lot of things become eligible when you can create a narrative that relates it to climate change. If you feel me.
Just one last thing. There was a class that just took place over in Chicago, and it was a 2-day class that was helping I guess those that wanted to learn about grant writing. Are you aware of that? I know.
Yeah. Was it hosted by Big Blacks and Green?
I'm not sure, but I think it may have been.
Okay.
I mean, I got the well, I invited myself, and they sent me back an email. I be trying to look out for my community, and I don't know who to give it to. So I'm sure I got the right people on the line now. So, okay.
Yeah. So another program that EPA has funded, and I sorry, I don't mean to throw so much at everyone because there's all these programs, and of course they have similar names. Another program EPA has funded is called the TICTAC. That is TCTAC, so Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers. And there are 1 or 2 in each region, and then there's some nationwide ones. But those centers are specifically funded to provide grants, application and grant administration technical assistance to communities. So in Region 5, the Great Lakes region, we have 2. One of them is Blacks and Green, and the other one is the Great Lakes Center, which is at the University of Minnesota. Anyone in Region 5 can request technical assistance from those 2, either of those organizations. They are up and running. They're open for business. Big does a really good session that's called Get Your Paperwork in Order, and it's all about what are the pieces of paper that you need to establish a 501c3 and get in grants.gov and get your UEI, which is another number that you need to apply. So how to do those things so that you become an eligible entity. I will also stick the technical assistance request forms from Big and Great Lakes into the chat.
Okay. Well, we at the top of the hour. Heidi, do you want to say anything to end, or?
Do we have like 1 minute for Laura do you have a question?
Sure.
I see a question, hand up from Laura.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, I'll be really quick. While we have Desmond kind of on the hook, and several of us will be at the May 15th event that is free. It earns 4 continuing education units and a certificate on evaluating environmental and health risks. There's also a resource fair happening, and I know the PACU, Dr. Buchanan's group, hopefully Dr. Murray and other folks from Andrews will be present. And this is a perfect time to start putting together your partners for that community change grant. The capacity exists within Andrews to help support something like this and not have all the burden come on the small nonprofits in Benton Harbor. So
Right.
I think we do have time built in during the May 15th event, and this would be an ideal time to begin talking about applying for that community change grant.
All right.
And my guess would be Blacks and Green may be able to provide some technical assistance. So can technical assistance to brownfields. They are a free service already working in Benton Harbor. So let's continue this conversation. We have a call in 1 minute, Mary Alice. So let's continue this conversation in 1 minute. And Dr. Murray, I really hope we see you on May 15th. Round up whatever summer students need some extra credit. And our dear colleagues from Andrews, please come.
All right. Very good.
Yes, ma'am. Just very quickly, I've already applied, and what I need to know from Elizabeth is, does each organization need to apply with Black and Green for technical assistance?
No, just one from whatever, coalition.
Okay.
Is working on
Okay.
grants.
I didn't want to miss the opportunity, so I just did it while I was in there because I'd be all over the place. Thank you, dear.
Sure.
Thank you all. And Dr. Murray, I can't thank you enough, young man. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So we want to go ahead and continue the thanks and the gratitude for all of our participants. Thank you, Dr. Susan. I think she had to leave. Buchanan. Thank you, Princella Tobias. Thank you to my co-host, Heidi Lassane. Thank you to our featured guest speaker today, Monica. It's been great. It's been very informative, and we look forward to closing things out next week, Friday at this time. So hope everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week, Friday. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you
Murray.
all.
Okay, bye-bye.
Job well done.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.